All right, welcome to the third session of Chazown, and I believe this one's going to be a fun and very helpful time because Proverbs 29:18 says, where there is no vision, the people perish. So many people end up somewhere, but very few people end up somewhere on purpose. What we're going to do in this session as we continue to seek God for His Chazown, that which will drive us, that which gives us a sense of significance and purpose and peace and direction, we're going to look at our core values. Before we do so, I'm going to tell you a crazy story that happened several years back. In 2004 Olympics, there was an American athlete known as Matthew Emmons who was competing in the 50-meter rifle three-position competition. And he was actually in first place and had one shot left between him and the gold medal. And this very skilled shooter lined up to take his final shot. And when he did, he slowed his breathing, he looked at the target, he pulled the trigger, and he hit the bullseye. The problem is, believe it or not, Matthew Emmons did not hit the correct target. He hit the bullseye of the target right next to the correct goal. Well, he dropped from first place to 8th place. Even though he hit the bullseye, he hit the wrong target. And that story really impacted me because I think there are so many people who actually set out to do something and they end up doing what they set out to accomplish. The problem is what they accomplished wasn't what God wanted them to do. They were successful, but they succeeded at the wrong thing. We don't want to do that. In fact, when we seek God, we want to specifically hear from Him so we can be not just successful, but we can be successful at what He created us to do. We can be successful at the things that matter most. With the Chazown experience, we believe God is going to help you find your target. And you're going to hit the bullseye on God's specific target just for you. So we've already looked at our past experiences. What I want to do in this session is talk about our core values. In fact, I like what Paul said in 2 Corinthians 13:8. He said, we cannot oppose the truth. We must always stand for the truth. In fact, I believe there are certain truths that God hardwired into your heart, things that you must stand for. When someone else does something that offends your values, there's kind of a righteous anger that kicks up within you and says, you know what, no, you can't go there. You may be able to say a lot around me, but you can't say that. What happened is they crossed a core value, something that you really believe in and stand for with all of your heart. Someone said it this way, core values are those things you're willing to take a stand for, even if it means facing risk or even losing something that you really care about. They're the values that are hardwired into your soul. So, when you look at different people in the Bible, you're going to see obviously that they had some specific core values. I'll give you some examples. Samuel in the Old Testament, he stood for integrity. At the end of his life, you can tell he really valued integrity, and basically he stood up before the community and said, have I wronged anybody? Did I do anything that wasn't honoring? If so, take a free shot at me. And you can tell Samuel deeply valued integrity. In fact, we named one of our sons Samuel because integrity is a core value to us. David, he modeled intimacy with the Father. He was known as a man after God's own heart. David said, this one thing I desire, and this is what I seek, to dwell in the presence of the Lord forever. He valued intimacy with God. Solomon, God said, you can have anything you want. What do you want? Solomon wanted wisdom. He valued wisdom, and he was known as one of the wisest people who ever lived. He valued wisdom. In fact, if you look at well-known Christians from our lifetime, Billy Graham, what did he value? He values evangelism. He wanted to reach people for the glory of God. Mother Teresa, compassion. Anything she can do to make a difference in someone's life, that's what she valued. When you look at your life, you'll see certain values that God placed within you, those things that you must take a stand for because they mean so much to you. So, I want to give you just some practical examples of what you might value. You might be a businesswoman who has a passion to help women who are out of work. And so you value leadership and compassion. You've got great gifts of leadership in your work, and yet you want to help other women succeed when they're struggling. So you value compassion in that area. Maybe you're a teenager and there's some people on your block that are older and can't mow their own yard. And so you go and mow their yard, or you check on them. And what you're doing is you're showing the value of honor. You're honoring those around you. Maybe you're a dad and you're very passionate about taking care of children and making sure other children are cared for. You might have a value of sacrifice, or you might have a value of faithfulness. And this is something that's very, very important to you. So what I want to do is give you some tools to help you seek God to identify what your specific core values would be. And let me just ask you 3 questions and get you to think about how would you answer these questions, and we're going to help unearth those values that God has planted in your heart. The first question is this: what stirs up righteous anger inside of you? What stirs up righteous anger inside of you? What do you look at and say, no, not on my watch. I can't tolerate that. That's just not right. Somebody's got to do something about this. It might as well be me. Maybe it's some type of injustice. Maybe it's racism. Maybe it's poverty. Maybe it's when a man abuses a woman. Maybe it's when children are left in need. What is it that stirs up righteous anger in you? Second question, what things bring you the most happiness or joy? When you see something, what makes you just leap with joy on the inside? What is it that makes you celebrate and you want to be a part of something where this is going on? Ask yourself, what is it that breaks your heart, stirs up righteous anger? What is it that brings happiness and joy? The third question is this: when you look at your personal timeline, what core values do you see revealed in it? As you look back over your past experiences, what consistently do you see revealed that might imply you have a core value of this or that?
For me, one of my core values is creativity. Creativity has definitely been a major factor in my life. For me, I've been able to speak in other people's lives, whether it's a challenging situation, and help them see a door that possibly they don't see.
One of the core values that I feel very passionate about in my life is service. That is something that I learned through doing Chazown and going through Chazown, was that it's very important to give back to other people what God so freely gave into me.
One of my core values is faith. When it comes to my faith, I just love the things of God. I'm always just listening to see how I can be used by God to touch lives wherever the person is at.